With us once again is Glenn McFarlane, former Victorian and Tasmanian state coach. Now, an interesting one today. We've got Morty Douglas from Queensland in the first of the games up against Frank Ryan from Victoria. How does the form match up with these two going into the game?
Well, Bill, they both got great form. We find that Morty's already appeared so far in the tournament and he's rolled some good scores for a couple of great wins. But Frank, on the tournament scene for 1997, he's got a whole swag of titles under his belt. It's going to be a great match-up today. OK, let's have a closer look at both these competitors as we get down to business. Morty Douglas from Kingaroy captained the Queensland team in the recent Australian Nationals and scored himself a place in the National All-Stars team. He'd also placed third in the 1997 Australian Masters.
I think bowling on the synthetics, you'll find the players will be able to hook the ball a lot more. So I'll probably be starting to try and really open up the scores and throw the ball wide and get it to really turn a lot. I'm just going to go out and try and throw 12 best shots each game, and if I'm lucky and get the strikes, then I'll be there in the finals.
Morty Douglas had a second round encounter with Anna Patterson that gave a preview of the form he was going to show in this tournament. Let's see how he goes. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Response to the pressure, well. Bit of a laugh. Morty's next task was to take on the #1 ranked bowler in Australia, Andrew Frawley. How would this one pan out?
Come on, come on.
No, that could be a magic moment. A crucial bowl that was for Morty. Frank Ryan from Victoria is coming off a sizzling 12 months of competition form. He has 8 state and 2 national caps to his credit and has bowled the perfect game on 4 occasions.
The pressure in Tenpin bowling comes from yourself, so I tend to, whether I'm playing for a final match or a pot game, I put as much pressure on myself each time. I mean, when it gets down to it, it's one game, so just make quick adjustments and try to stay out of trouble.
We're getting close to the money time in the Coca-Cola Tenpin Classic. There's the quarterfinals. It gets very, very serious from now on. Sudden death, of course. And yes, the first time we'll see Frank Ryan in action in the Coke Classic up against Morty Douglas, who's been in good form, defeated Anna Patterson and Andrew Frawley to be here today. He's going to open this first frame. Opens in style. There's a strike.
Solid start there for Morty. He'll be pumped up for this game. He'll want to get on top of Frank early in the match if he can, and that's a good opener.
Sue Patterson, the New South Wales captain and Australian team member, joins us in commentary again today. Welcome along, Sue. Should be in for a good one here.
We're in for a great match here today. This is the first time we've had an opportunity to see Frank perform on TV, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, can Frank reply with a strike of his own?
No, he's left what's commonly called a washout. So the only way he's going to be able to convert this spare, to see on the replay here, just slides through a little bit too fast. Doesn't have a chance to come back. He'll be basically trying to throw a Brooklyn shot, which is over to the left-hand side of the lane, a little bit too far there.
So left a little short for Frank in his opening frame.
He'll settle down, though. He's been in fine form on the 1997 Australian tournament scene. He's won the Australian Open, first in the Perth Cup, first in the Victorian Open, first in the New South Wales Open.
36-year-old driver from Victoria. Certainly has had a very busy 12 months. Looking for his first strike of the game. Oh, so close. And talking to himself, likes that one. He's settling down a bit now. Current league average of 212 for Frank. Morty Douglas, 210.
And of course, Frank Ryan, our #3 seed here in the Coca-Cola Tenpin Classic, his first appearance in the tournament so far. And a little wry look on the face. Yet again, Sue, we find that with players of today that are using the resin reactive balls, this is the sort of lead that they have to contend with. They generate great strike action revolutions, but sometimes you pay the price.
Yeah, and that's a classic example there of what we've just seen of the ball not coming back as hard as what he would have liked.
Difficult shot, that one for Morty. And just an open frame. So $3,000 first prize. That's what these players are vying for. And an all expenses paid trip to the High Roller International Roll-Off in Las Vegas. What a magnificent prize that is. First prize over there. A lot of dollars. It's $1 million tournament. Morty looking to get back on track. Leaves the 10-pin standing. We're in the third frame of this quarterfinal. As we see the replay on split screen, and that's what lies ahead for Morty. Captain of the Queensland team at the recent Australian Nationals, Morty Douglas, and closes out with a nice spare.
Frank with 4 perfect games to his credit so far.
Playing the techniques of these two gentlemen, how do they compare?
Well, they're both what we'd probably call power players. They swing the ball across the lane. Just see Frank there. He's playing a rather outside shot on that one.
And he's pretty happy with that strike.
Bill, the point is, between the two of them, they both generate so much power when they release the ball. And some great revolutions.
That lane's in Brisbane. It's Coca-Cola 10-pin classic quarterfinal action. And we've got a thriller on our hands at the moment. Frank Ryan, the number 3 seed, with a 2-pin lead. As he starts the 4th frame, looking for a strike. Gets 7 down. 3 more to go for the spare. See the replay there. Frank not all that happy with that shot. Has 4 perfect games to his credit, Frank. Oh, and left that one short.
That's a better ball.
Well, you heard Morty call it. He's not a bad judge, is he?
Yeah, he picked it.
Strike number 2 for Morty Douglas. Let's have a look at it and watch the reaction from him.
He basically knew as soon as the ball left his hand that he'd thrown a good shot. He was balanced at the foul line and straight through with the ball. And as we heard, he called it himself. He could be up here doing our job.
So this for a strike double. Oh.
Not quite as good. Come on.
Sue, that's twice now that Morty's left the 10-pin on our left-hand championship pair lane.
Yeah, didn't look that bad a shot, but as we heard Morty say himself, felt that he probably pulled the ball just a fraction rather than allowing to have a free swing and let the ball do the work on the lane by itself rather than giving it that added little assistance.
Good spare for Morty Douglas. He skips to a 10-pin lead after his 5th frame. Now we have Frank Ryan up in the 5th. 1 strike so far in the game for Frank. That's looking pretty good. Well, we see the 10-pin standing again. Seen that a couple of times in the match so far.
That was a great comeback after open frame there. We saw the frame before. It's not easy. He's gathered his composure. He's managed to throw a good shot. Nice going into the pocket. And the pin just went around the 10-pin.
Well, there was never any doubt about the spare there. Frank, solid. Leads by 10 pins.
He's had a great 1997 year with the titles that he's got to his credit. Australian Open, winner of the Perth Cup, winner of the Victorian Open, and winner of the New South Wales Open. That looks a lot better.
Oh, the crowd right behind that as well.
He likes it. He likes it, and why not? A top shot and a good comeback there for Frank.
And a very good crowd in here today, cheering on both our competitors.
Here, side on split screen, and you watch his reaction.
All those pins in the pit, that's what the competitors like to see.
Trust it.
He trusted it okay.
Come on.
Yep, he did trust it okay. The only thing is he's got to remember to get the fingers on it, and he can't throw it out too wide. What he's talking about a crown is the laying down of the oil on the lane. So he basically just wants to get it out on the edge of that. So he's still got some room to get the ball back into the pocket. Throw it out a little bit too wide, and it's just not going to come back.
Oh, well. Left it open. Leads by 5 pins, Morty Douglas. Action in this quarterfinal just hotting up. Make sure you join us after the break. 7th frame in this quarterfinal. Morty Douglas. Looking for a strike. He'd love a strike right now. Just watching to see if that pin was going to knock the other one down, but he'll have one remaining.
Well, he knew it was a good shot, though. You'll see coming up here. Got the ball out wide, gave it room to move. Looking for that, what we call a messenger, coming across from one side of the lane to the other, but not so in this case.
I think probably one of the greatest attributes to Morty's game is his follow-through. I haven't seen anybody else sort of have such a great follow-through and extension with the ball. And in contrast, Frank has a more of getting the ball out on the lane on the first part of his delivery. You'll see that the ball doesn't just drop at the foul line. He actually gets it out quite far before the ball actually hits the lane.
Back-to-back strikes for Frank Ryan. So he regains the lead. And what is a gripping quarterfinal. Frank by 10 pins now.
Likes that shot. He's just waiting for it. Yes. Managed to get the carry, and his reaction told us the story.
So it's neck and neck in this quarterfinal, as you'd expect. Cutthroat game. Plenty at stake in the Coca-Cola Classic. One player will go on to the semis. Another one we bid farewell to. Frank looking for a turkey. 3 in a row. Nailed it. And the big man's happy.
I don't think he was quite too happy with the shot that he threw there, but he was more elated with the reaction that he got from it.
And Morty trailing by 20 at the moment.
Well, Morty's come up with the answer. Morty now looking for a double to stay right in the match. Oh, it's looking pretty good. So a strike for Morty Douglas. And, we really have a game on our hands here at the moment.
We sure do. Frank has 3 up on the board already in a row. He'll be looking to make it 4.
Gave that ball a lot of room then. He sort of really threw it out.
He sure did, yeah. And he got away with a reasonable mix, only left in with 2 pins for the spare.
Is our split screen replay of that shot. So watch it swing back in. Right now, 2 pins to close out for a spare.
He's covered it. Now things really getting tight.
So we've got a great game here on our hands at the moment. Frank's entering his 10th frame. If he manages to get 3 strikes in the 10th frame, he can finish with a possible 204 game. And Morty's looking at a possible 201 game if he could continue to strike out.
So, crucial stage of this quarterfinal. Still anybody's game.
Tie.
Pace. Pace.
He knows it inside his target as well. So, Sue, what does he do here? Go for it?
Well, I would go for 2 personally.
Well, that's exactly what he did too.
Okay, so basically the situation at the moment is Morty is down by 20 pins, but he's got 2 strikes in a row, so he needs the next strike to win the game. If he's,
One good shot.
and you can hear him telling himself there, he needs 1 good shot.
Come on.
It's a bit wide.
Will it come back? No, he's left.
And he's left himself with a
stand.
difficult spare, yes.
Okay.
The 2-8 sleeper.
It might look like an easy spare at home, but the distance between the 2 pin, which is the front pin, and the 8 pin, which is directly behind it, there's quite a large gap there that you've got to cover.
Here he goes.
That's a nice spare there.
Well done.
Wow. Neck and neck this one.
Okay, so what an exciting game we've had on our hands here. Unfortunately, if Morty does manage to get a strike in this game, he's still only going to finish with a 179, which is going to give Frank Ryan a lead of 1 pin.
So there it is. Morty's finishes with a 176. It's a good performance there for Frank Ryan, a 180 to beat Morty Douglas 176 in the first of our quarterfinals.
Started off in the match a little bit unsure perhaps of the lane conditions, but then you settled down into a groove.
Yeah, well, once we move on to the TV pair, it's a little different. The condition I found today tended not to want to hook too much, so we tended to baby the ball a little bit, and maybe that was the reason the scores weren't so high. But once I did find something, I felt that I threw the shots not too bad.
Now, you came good towards the end of the match with 3 strikes in a row. That last one really put the pressure back on Morty.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key when you're throwing 2 frames in a row is when it's your turn, it's the only thing you should do is put pressure on your opponent. So the 3rd strike was a little bit lucky, but it was mine, so that was good.
Well, now you're into the semi-final of the Coca-Cola Classic. Good luck for your next match coming up.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, great start there for Frank, the first of our semi-finalists in the Coca-Cola Tenpin Classic. Now, Glenn, what lies ahead for him next?
Frank now moves into the semi-finals. He'll play the winner of next week's match, and that match is between Ashley Riley from Tasmania or Queensland's Michael Little. Either way, it's going to be a tough one for Frank when he comes up next.
Yes, it should be another classic. Make sure you join us again for that one. In the meantime, hit the lanes and have some fun.